Hello there. Welcome back to another Culture and Connections. I'm Mariah Young, your hostess, the First Impressions Director at 48 Days, and I am bringing to you an entrepreneur resource today. Do you hate health insurance? Like, loathe it, the conversation, the open enrollment, the trying to figure out what you want? As a small business owner and entrepreneur, that can be a really difficult thing to navigate all by yourself. So today, I am bringing to you a guest who is going to talk about that and help you with some tips and tricks, and also share with you how you can get more of a concierge type service for your health insurance needs. All right, stay tuned. I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. If you do join us on the live, please make sure that you say hello. We do not see a lot of times names, so please do put that in there as well. But what I want you to do today is I want you to sit back, relax. We are going to have not a pushy sales-based insurance guy talk. In fact, I handpicked Jamon to come on and chat because he is so personable. We're going to have a conversation. He's going to share some tips, tricks, stories, and we're just going to have some fun for the next 20 or 30 minutes. So grab your coffee and or whatever you were drinking and join us. I really am excited to bring to you Jamon Andelin. So without further ado, here he is. Yay!
Hey Mariah, how you doing?
Good. Jamon, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today. So Jamon, can you really quickly, before we dive into our content, can you share a little bit about yourself so people can kind of get to know you a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the health insurance world for 6 years. I grew up in Nevada, currently live in Utah. I am married, have 3 kids. And let's see, I started my career in accounting, corporate accounting, actually. I did that for 10 years. And then because of different things that happened in my life, I decided to make a career change. And then I went from personal finance, so from corporate accounting, tried to do some personal finance, did some financial planning, life insurance. And then I started helping people save money on their health insurance. And I realized I actually enjoyed doing the health insurance a whole lot more than the financial planning, or I did taxes as well. I did a whole bunch of different things in that finance area. I discovered I enjoyed health insurance a lot more. So I've been doing health insurance exclusively for the last 6 years, going on 7 years. And I also, individual health insurance, Medicare, which is 65 and older, people on disability, and group benefits, and supplemental insurance, dental, vision, accident, disability, stuff like that.
Awesome. I mean, it is something that we all need, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's a nice market right there.
It was. I found it a whole lot easier to help somebody enroll in health insurance than life insurance or 401k. Absolutely. I still do life insurance for my clients. I don't actively market it. I just help my existing clients get life insurance if they need it. But health insurance is one of those things where it's an immediate need. At the time when I started, there was still the mandate to have health insurance. So it was still required to have health insurance. So people knew they needed to get it. And also it was, for most people in the market, health insurance can be incredibly affordable. Now, understanding that, people we're talking to today, successful entrepreneurs, oftentimes it can get quite expensive. It's very frustrating. I totally understand that. Mm-hmm. But in getting into the market, if you have lower income or if you have, good CPA, you have a lot of business write-offs, you can get some really affordable insurance.
Totally. And that's exactly why I wanted us to have this conversation, because not only, by the way, before we actually go into that, I want to let you know, last week, Norman was on with us, Norman Wilkinson, and he highly recommended you.
Well, that's very kind of him. He's great. Does the right thing for the clients. I've seen it time and time again, where he will send me a referral for a client that, I understand what he does and his range of premiums and income and everything. And I could see that he could have done a hard sell on his plan, And the client would not have known the difference, and they would have been happy with it. But he sent them over to me, and I was able to save them several $100s a month, give them the better policy because of that specific situation. Whereas other agents might have just done the hard sell, but Norm absolutely does the right thing for the client. So he's fantastic.
I love that. And I think that is just honestly, it's a refreshing thing to hear and to see. It really, and that's one of the reasons I wanted you both on, because when I heard you talking, I could tell you were more about caring about what people have and what they do and what they need versus just making that hard sell. And you're collaborative. I love that. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay. So let's dig right in. Can you tell us, I will say actually also being a teacher, and I actually do have 2 insurance licenses because I was going to do that at one point. I did love, and this is what I hear coming from you too, is that I really felt like I wanted to teach people what they needed, because to your point earlier, your finances and everything can be in limbo and can be in trouble if you don't have the proper insurances to help with that. And so all the planning that you can do for financial advising and all of this stuff, if you don't have your house properly insured, or you're not properly insured for health insurance, I mean, $60,000 in medical bills can completely take you out, especially as a small business owner.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I hear you with that teaching vibe. And so let's teach a little bit. So can you share with us what you do? And do you need me to bring up your screen, your share screen?
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, I have just a couple things to go over on my screen. Mariah, I just remembered you had asked me to share something fun or interesting about myself. I totally skipped over that. So I thought I'd share that actually when I was in college, I was at BYU and I was on the International Folk Dance Ensemble. And so I traveled the world in college doing folk dance, anywhere from like square dancing, clogging, American clogging, to Irish hard shoe, Ukrainian dance, where Americans typically think of it as Russian dancing, where you you kick your legs and everything. But that was me. I did that, traveled in Europe and all across the US. Loved it. So I'm not very good. Don't ask me to dance now because I've forgotten most of it, but I enjoyed it a lot. So
I never would have pictured that. That is great. Oh my gosh. My niece actually does clog dancing. And really? It's totally different than I ever would have thought. As soon as her mom said it, I was like, really? Clog dancing?
Oh, it's intense. And yeah, your niece is probably way better than I was, but it's a lot of fun and it's great. Way more exciting than tap dance, as much as I love tap dance, but clogging is a lot more upbeat and showy and everything. So anyway.
I love that. Thanks for sharing it. I love it. I can totally picture it. All right. So let's jump right in to, can you tell us about what you do? And then let me know when you need me to put your screen up.
Yes. So actually, why don't you go ahead and share my screen right now, and I'll just go over a couple basic things. So I'm with an agency called Compass Insurance Advisors. We're based out of Utah, but we have agents all over the U.S. Let's see. When I meet with a client, first off, I always say, look, what I do for my clients does not cost anything extra. The rates that I provide my clients are the exact same rates if they were to go directly to the insurance company, or if they were to quote on healthcare.gov, or if they were to go through any other agent. It's always going to be the same rate. Now, there are some variables, like sometimes you could adjust the expected income. That's going to change the price. But the rates are the same. I cannot charge extra for my services. My goal is to provide professional guidance to my clients and build a long-term relationship so that they will continue to use me year in and year out as long as they have health insurance needs.
Can I actually pause you there for 1 second? Because what you just had, can you go back to there, the professional guidance?
Yeah.
Something that Norm mentioned, and I want to mention it here too. Was it healthinsurance.com?
Healthcare.gov.
Healthcare.gov. That one is not, and I want to make sure that I've got this right, so correct me if I'm wrong. That is not just the government selling you health insurance. They're going to sell your information, and you're going to get potentially hundreds of agents calling you all the time and harassing you. So that's not the best way to go.
So slight clarification on that. So if you were to search health insurance, so probably healthinsurance.com, actually healthinsurance.com, you're actually probably right. Absolutely. That would not be a government insurance. That would be some third-party company trying to gather your information. 100%. Healthinsurance.com, if that website exists, that is not a good place to go to because you're not dealing directly with the marketplace. Healthcare.gov, that one is legitimate. That's where you'd go do the enrollment on your own. And there is a link where you can say, I need help. And you can put in information on healthcare.gov, and then it will send out a single request to a health insurance advisor in your geographical area. And then that person has a chance to respond. If they respond, then that's one person you're talking to, and it's not going to go to any other agents. So I'm actually on that. I will get several requests a week through healthcare.gov, and then I help that person get them taken care of. But if you go to any other website and say, yes, I need health insurance, have an agent contact me, then most likely they're going to sell that to dozens of different health insurance companies, call centers. And yeah, your phone just explodes and you get 50 calls an hour. And I've talked to people that had to change their phone number because it was just so, I mean, the lead companies in the health insurance industry are, most of them are bad actors, and you just don't want to deal with them.
Exactly. Yeah. So thank you for clarifying that, because I think it's a really important thing to distinguish between Googling and actually coming to somebody who is knowledgeable. Perfect. Thank you for clarifying that. I love it.
Absolutely. Okay. So yeah, I work with wide range of people. I always tell my clients, hey, look, I have two goals in mind when I work with you. The first goal is to make sure that your insurance is affordable. That the premium is affordable. If it's not affordable, then, well, we might as well stop talking, because, I mean, yeah, I could do some hard sales tactic and say, do you really what if this bad thing happens, and what if this bad thing happens? And do you really love your family? Do you want to leave them high and dry? There's a lot of things that you could do, manipulate sales tactics. If I did that to try and sell them a high priced insurance policy that they cannot afford, they might sign up for it. They might keep it for a couple months, but they're going to cancel it. And they're going to be annoyed with me, and that relationship will have soured. And commissions on the way I make money is by building long-term relationships. I get a monthly commission so every month that person is still enrolled in the policy that I set up with them, I continue to get paid. I love it that way because it incentivizes good agents to build long-term relationships. And so I am not just an enrolling help. I am an advisor throughout the year and year in and year out. So my clients have questions about claims, about doctors, providers, if they have concerns because something was denied, they are absolutely welcome to reach out to me. And I have connections with the different health insurance companies that I work with, where sometimes I can get them taken care of without having to call just general customer support or emailing somebody. And so that's some of the value I try to add in. Anyways, back to what I was saying. First goal is it's affordable. Affordability is different for everybody. Some people think that $1,000 a month is affordable for them because of their health insurance needs. Other people think, well, I don't want to pay more than $500, whatever.
Right. I
don't argue with my clients about what is affordable, what is not affordable. I usually try to start around 5% of income, and then just go from there. But I'm not going to argue with them saying that, oh, actually, this is actually really is affordable for you. That's up to them. Now, having said that, the second goal, equally as important, is to make sure that the health insurance is actually going to do the job that health insurance is supposed to do, which is protect the client financially or transfer the risk of high healthcare costs.
Right.
And so, yes, there are policies. Sometimes I'll have clients where we could get a policy for, very inexpensive, $100 or whatever a month, but then they have like a $10,000 out-of-pocket maximum, $10,000 deductible, and it's just outrageous. And so I want to make sure that they can use their insurance, that it's actually going to protect them from hospitalization, accidental injuries. But also equally as important, or needing to keep in mind, is what if there is an extended hospitalization or a critical illness like cancer or something? That's going to have a very significant potential impact on the household income if somebody gets cancer. And so there are options of ways of bringing in an infusion of cash to help minimize the financial impact of lost work, lost wages because of all these critical illnesses. I just have a story I want to share about this. So one of my clients, met this client. I was at a booth in Walmart, actually, doing just advertising for Medicare. And the client came up and he's like, hey, I'm currently paying like $2,500 a month through Cobra for health insurance. Can you help out? I'm like, I'd love to. Absolutely. 100% I can help out. At the time, they had 3 kids at home, and they were successful business owners. They had a couple different businesses. Their income was I mean, the revenue was in the six figures, but based on their tax strategies and everything, they were, not 80,000 range or something.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he's a type 1 diabetic as well.
Oh.
And he was paying, not only was he paying a ton for his insurance, but also he was paying a ton for his insulin.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was able to get him on a policy that provided all of his insulin for zero cost. And so he had immediate savings right there where he didn't have to pay for his insulin anymore because the insurance company covered all of his insulin costs.
Mm.
And then also, we were able to add on a couple ancillary products, a critical illness policy, the hospital policy, and then an accident policy, and plus dental and vision.
Mm-hmm.
By adding all that on and by getting the free insulin, that better policy, we still got him premium around $500 a month, saved him about $2,000 a month.
Wow.
Now, this was because he's a family of five and his income, where they were able to recognize their income, it was a really good situation. If they were paying the full premium, they would have been around $1,800 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so that was 4 years ago. Fast forward, so each year I'd meet with them. They'd say, we absolutely love this policy. It's fantastic. Love it so much. It's not changing. It's like, no, it's not changing. It was an HSA policy that they're contributing their maximum amount to their HSA account as well. 2 years ago, it was actually this January. She reached out to me and said, hey, I just got diagnosed with breast cancer, and like stage 4 breast cancer. Are we still good on this insurance policy? And I said, yes, you are. The most you're going to pay is $7,500 for this. And she said, oh, that's fantastic. And I said, well, actually, also, we set up this critical illness policy, and this policy is going to pay you $100,000 because of the cancer diagnosis. And so I helped her with the claim and everything, and they got a check for $100,000, cover all their medical bills, obviously, but also just, you think, how many times do we see GoFundMe accounts on Facebook or whatever? Just saying no.
Yeah.
All the time. And now, in no way do I want to disparage or minimize the sincere generosity of people rallying around people going through hard times. Sure. But I want my clients to be able to know that there is an option where you can set something in place for an affordable premium where you would not have to rely on the sincere generosity of others. And also, I mean, unfortunately, most of the times these people don't meet their goals on these things. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. Yeah. But anyway, so they got a $100,000 check. Okay. And then a couple months later, she reached out to me again and said, hey, husband just got diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is devastating. But that same policy I was able to get them a check for $10,000 for the Alzheimer's diagnosis. Now, it would have been more, but because he was type 1 diabetic, he didn't qualify for the higher payout, but there was that guaranteed issue level of $10,000 benefit. So they got $110,000 paid to them this year for these two major critical illnesses.
And, I think... Sorry, I was going to say, I think it's really important to point out, so many of us think when you're talking numbers like $100,000, like that sounds like, whoa, it's so much money. But when we're talking medical bills, hospitalizations, treatments, all the things that come into account with that, it goes fast. And so while that's amazing, and yes, I'm cheering that on. It's so amazing. That's a realistic thing to have, that you would want to have for, that in place, because it does add up fast, and it does, and loss of income. I mean, all the things that happen with something like that.
For sure.
That is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyways, that was one client experience, and great friends. I've been their agent for several years, and so happy that he happened to stop when I was at that Walmart booth, and we talked for 5 minutes and then created this multi-year relationship. So, wow. All right. Let's, and so let's do it. So a couple things I wanted to mention with business owners, there are generally 4 options you have for your health insurance. 5 if you say no health insurance, you just set the money aside. Which there is so we all know that when the Affordable Care Act was passed 10 years ago, I think now, or started 10 years ago, there was the mandate to have health insurance. They said, okay, everybody has to have health insurance. If you don't, you owe a penalty. That penalty can be as high as the cost for the cheapest bronze plan. All right. And then we know that there's the challenge of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, no, that actually is constitutional because it's just a tax. Mm-hmm. Well, because they made that decision, once the Republicans got in charge, they passed a new tax bill. And in that tax bill, they just said, well, if that's a tax, we're going to then include that. We're going to revise that tax bill and change it to $0. So the mandate to have health insurance still exists, but currently there is no penalty assigned to it. Okay. And so if you don't have health insurance, you don't have to pay anything. So people can. There's a lot of people that are still uninsured because they realize that I don't have to, and they're just taking that risk, and they're more power to them. So I want to clear that if you don't have health insurance, you're not going to get fined. But if you do have health insurance, there's 4 main options, 4 categories. The first option is just a small group plan. Regions Blue Cross Blue Shield will write a policy on a couple, like a married couple, if both husband and wife or both spouses are employees of that company, of that same business. They can get on a single family policy through Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they can have that rate. It's expensive, yes, but that would be slightly better than going with the second option, which is paying the full price for a policy through healthcare.gov. And so an individual policy or a group policy is going to be about 20% lower than a comparable plan through healthcare.gov. So that'd be the second option. Both of those policies are going to cover everything, no pre-existing condition exclusions. So these would be two good options for people that have major pre-existing conditions, going through critical illness, or if they're diabetic or whatnot. Mm-hmm. All right. The third option would be a private plan. Now that's going to be something like what Norm represents with U.S. Health Advisors. There are other private plans as well. I have a couple that I work with: Allstate Health Solutions, United Healthcare, UH1, Golden Rule Insurance. Those are 2. The benefits of those ones are they're way less expensive. We're talking, 50% of the cost of the full price marketplace plan, depending on the state, I guess. Some of the states like Texas, these private plans are really expensive, and I just put clients on the full price marketplace plan because it's just about the same price. And also another benefit is their national PPOs, and so you can be in any state and still receive care. You're always going to have in-network providers nationwide. Okay. But then beyond that, the downsides are they do not cover pre-existing conditions. They do not cover, most of them don't cover maternity care or expensive medications or preventative care like an annual physical or colonoscopy or mammogram. Those things are not covered before deductible, so you'd have to pay the full price until you hit the deductible. Mm-hmm. Then it doesn't cover mental health stuff. Okay. The third option would be something like a health share ministry, Christian Health Share Ministries, Samaritan, Liberty Health Share. There's a new one that I'm starting to work with called Impact. That is nationwide coverage, and it functions very similar to health insurance. But again, the pros of that one is the pricing as well. That they're going to be a lot less expensive than the full price marketplace plan. The benefit of one of those over a private plan is that they eventually will cover pre-existing conditions, but it takes them a couple of years before they're going to cover it. Downsides are it's not insurance. And so there's a lot of people experiences. They're just really unfavorable experiences because it takes them so long to pay. Doctors don't accept it. And it's just a lot of heartache and frustration. So rarely would I say that that's going to be the better option for somebody, but I will tell them about it so they can make that decision on their own.
Well, and Norm mentioned this last week too, is that they don't always have to choose to help you with your issue. Right. Yeah. And then one of the things that you sign is that you're not going to sue them, that you're going to do internal arbitration. I think that's what it's called. But yeah. And so there's just some risk with that. I've talked to a lot of people that have really good experiences with them. Yeah. I've talked to also a lot of people, maybe more, that have had terrible experiences with them, and we've moved them over to something else. Yeah. And also, we've had that in our community as well, both. Like we've had people that do the shares, and it's been great. But like you said, if you have anything that, that happens, it's still risky. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, so that's a possibility. All right. So I'm thinking, let me talk real quick about Medicare. So 65 and older, or if you're on disability, Medicare, again, doesn't cost anything to use an advisor. And I help people with choosing a Medicare Advantage plan or a Medicare supplement. They're both fantastic. Both of those options are far better than anything we've talked about to this point.
And the supplement, you have zero out-of-pocket costs. If you're on a supplement, it just costs you an extra $100, $150 a month. The Medicare Advantage plan, you get dental, vision built into it. There's some really good benefits. Aetna actually has a plan. So if anybody's on Medicare, a Medicare Advantage plan, look at the Aetna plan. There's an Aetna PPO choice. That's what it's called in Utah, and I think in Arizona and Idaho. But it's on most of their Advantage plans. It's a fitness reimbursement. So
nice.
People can use this reimbursement. It ranges between like $800 and $1,200 a year. They can use this reimbursement to pay for things like golfing or skiing or buying a new mountain bike or going bowling or buying new golf clubs. I mean, just tons of different things that are all fitness related. Fantastic. It's a new thing that they're adding on this year. So
that's great.
I'm talking to all my clients about it, and a lot of people are jumping on that. So it's pretty slick.
Yeah, I love that idea. That's kind of preventative care a little bit,
Exactly.
right?
The figure, it's going to cost a whole lot less if they have healthy people out golfing, and so they don't, develop these chronic issues and get hospitalized, than it would to, send them in the hospital or something.
I love that. Awesome. Okay, so any other things that you need to share with us as far as the types of insurance?
No, let me just do one. Just to share a quick story on one of my clients on one of these private plans.
Perfect.
Okay, so this was a client. I actually just signed them up back in August. Business owners, high income. They're not going to qualify for any sort of tax credit or anything. Now she has a critical illness. I think I can't remember what it is. She might be going through cancer or something else. And so we put her on a marketplace plan, full price marketplace plan. But we put him and their daughter on an Allstate Health Solutions plan. The benefits that we chose is a $10,000 deductible, $10,000 out-of-pocket maximum.
Mm-hmm.
But we couple that, we talked about earlier, make sure it's affordable to use and it protects you adequately. We couple that $10,000 out-of-pocket maximum with this rider. It's a plan enhancer that will reimburse the entire $10,000 for hospitalization or accidental injury. Oh. And the pricing on that is, they were paying like $250 a month, I think, for the two of them for that bundle of benefits. Nice. Fantastic, right? Well, like a month after we signed him up, he was playing pickleball and he blew out his knee. Oh. And they just had surgery like yesterday, a couple days ago. And she's like, oh, it's terrible. We chose the $10,000 deductible plan and we got the bill, and the bill was $9,500. And we're going to have like 6 to 9 months of therapy and rehab and everything. Wish we'd have done the $5,000 deductible, but she's like, at least we had something in place, and our price is uncapped at $10,000. Right. But I told him, like, hey, look, just to remind you, part of that plan is we had this enhancement in there. You're going to get that $10,000 reimbursed back to you. And so they're going to have zero out-of-pocket cost for this massive knee injury. And also, because it goes on a plan year, we signed up in August, that deductible is not going to reset in January. It's going to go all the way through their entire rehab and everything. So he's going to have this massive injury, terrible, wouldn't want it on anybody, but it's not going to cost him any money because of that benefit that we put in place. That's costing about $250 a month.
That's amazing. I'm actually going through physical therapy right now for a shoulder injury from mountain biking. Oh. And, I'm thankful I don't have a huge deductible, but yeah, it adds up really quickly each time. And you're going a couple times a week. Oh my gosh, to have that hospital bill paid off. Oh my goodness, that's huge. Yeah.
I actually have a couple. I get all the policies on myself as well. I'm not going to sell something that I don't think is valuable for me. So I have these accident policies on me. The last open enrollment, I broke my foot playing soccer. And then 2 years ago, I broke my hand playing soccer. I was actually goalie and blocked the shot, and I broke my hand. So last two open enrollments, I've had a broken bone. But each time I got paid $2,500 for that broken bone because of these policies that I have in place. And so it's a great selling tactic. And they said, you have crutches in the back. What's that about? I'm like, yeah, I broke my foot. But hey, I'm going to get paid $2,500. You should buy it too. So it is beneficial. But I would not recommend somebody purposely break their foot just to get, paid a claim. It's not worth it.
The cost doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that story. Thank you for sharing those. Our audience loves stories, so that's really good. Awesome. So, what I would love to make sure that we share is how can our audience engage with you? How can they reach out to you, work with you, and then what does that look like?
Yeah, thank you for asking. All right, so let me pull up. I think I have my contact information on one of these
And I
slides.
do think we put it in the description of the video too.
Oh, great.
So, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't. Anyways, in the description. So you can call me at my phone number, 801-592. I'm going to go and just stop sharing my screen because I don't think there's.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, call my direct number. I can put it in the.
Here, you say it. I'll put it in.
801-592-1202. And then my email is jandelin@insurewithcompass.
And I think we have that in the description. So
excellent.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook and share different things about on my Facebook page. I wonder if anyways, that's I mean, I'm trying to get better at social media, still working on it. But yes, the best way is to text or call or send me an email. If you call, I'm probably going to be in a meeting. Leave a message. I will call back as soon as possible. Oh, also, I'm licensed all throughout the U.S. Not in every state. I'm in like 18 states right now. Florida, Texas on the East Coast, and then, Florida, Tennessee, Texas, Michigan, Illinois, a lot of states in the West, Alaska, Arizona, Utah. Anyways, licensed all throughout. And then I'm happy to, talk with anybody in whatever state you're in. I had a friend of mine, her dad's in New York and on Medicare. So I consulted with him and showed him be able to answer a lot of questions. But New York it's a different licensing area. And so I probably won't get licensed there, but I'm happy to talk to people and just,
awesome. And when they do engage with you, what does that process look like? Like what's going to happen? It's, you're not going to all of a sudden just blast them with sales calls.
Yeah, great question. So initial conversation will be, okay, what are you looking for? Is there a possibility that I can help out? Then I'll get their name, date of birth, zip code, contact information, and then date of birth for any family members, and then their estimated income, any health concerns they'd have, if they were taking medications, what doctors they're seeing, make sure I can keep those doctors in the network, that whatever plan we're looking at. So I get that base general information, and then schedule a follow-up appointment, Zoom call or something in a couple days. Then I will go and do research, find 2 or 3 plans that I think would be a good option for them. And in that Zoom call, we'd go over those options. And then from there, let's see if do any of these make sense. Do we, add some coverage, drop some coverage to get it to be the thing that the person is looking for. And at that point, then I can send them an online questionnaire that will provide me with all the detailed, sensitive information, social security numbers, address, all that, payment information. I'll send that over to them. Once I have that, then I go through and actually do the applications for my clients. And then they will receive an e-signature where they just e-sign the application and the policy gets put in force. So I try to make it as convenient as possible. So if somebody's on the healthcare.gov platform, then I will do that for them. They don't have to create an account on there. They don't have to go through the application. My questionnaire is much more simplified, and they can finish it in a few minutes rather than going through the healthcare.gov application, where it takes,
that right longer. There is worth its gold. Its weight in gold
Yeah.
alone, because the paperwork is like I don't know, anyone like me who's not into details hates that stuff.
Yeah, and they change the thing every year. Like they add more questions. Now they have all these questions about HRAs, which applies to almost nobody. But if you don't know it doesn't apply to you, you're reading through all this stuff and you're like, I don't know what this is, or ask silly questions like, do you have insurance that's ending in the next 30 days? Well, yeah, that's the end of the year. My policy is ending. You hit yes, and then it messes it up. Or there's all sorts of problems.
Oh my goodness.
I can help people throughout the year. Also, there's always opportunities for special enrollment periods. And so it's not just open enrollment, but if somebody loses employment mid-year, loses their policy or whatever, there's always opportunities to help people throughout the year.
So I know a lot of people have a fear towards insurance. So to wrap this up, could you tell me what are like the top, let's say 1 or 2 things that you would say do not do when you're wanting to get health insurance?
Okay, number one thing to not do, we've already touched on it. Do not give your personal contact information onto some random website that says they'll have an agent contact you.
Yeah, and that's a cybersecurity issue too. That's both.
Yeah, yeah. And then I would say don't just choose the cheapest policy. So if you are through on marketplace and you qualify for a tax credit because of your net income as opposed to gross income, there are plenty of policies that are very inexpensive. But there's things called benchmark plans that are standardized plans that actually do not cover everything. There are certain things that are not covered. And so, yeah, you say not just choose the cheapest plan and it's nowhere disclosed of what's not covered on healthcare.gov. It's, I wish they would improve that. But for example, sleep studies, there's benchmark plans do not cover sleep studies, or they do not cover circumcision of all things. It's the weirdest thing. It's called, consider it cosmetic. They don't cover circumcision for newborn boys. And so people have, we're going to get our baby circumcised, and the insurance says like, oh no, we don't cover that. It'll cost you $1,000 or something.
Right.
Nowhere does it say that, but other plans would. And so, honestly, it sounds self-serving, but I'd say talk to an advisor that you can trust when you're finding a health insurance policy. Same thing with these private plans. Okay, this is actually what I'd say. If you're shopping out a private plan, a plan not through healthcare.gov, make sure you look at what's not covered. Ask them how they cover pre-existing conditions. Ask them how they cover maternity. Because a lot of times those call center agents, again, they just want to get that quick sale because they're working on like a salary or hourly with a commission bonus for each sale they make. They're trying to get that commission, that quick sale. They're never going to follow up with you. You're never going to be able to get in touch with them again. So make sure you understand clearly how pre-existing conditions are covered. Also, if it actually covers medical bills, what's billed, or if it's just saying we're going to pay, $500 for hospitalization per day in the hospital, as opposed to we're going to pay the hospital cost. There's some plans like that where they say, we'll cover $750 for each day in the hospital. Well, that's great unless they charge you $2,000 for that hospital day and you're in there for a month. I mean, so just make sure you understand how the policy works if it's a private plan. So
I love that. Because I feel like, insurance is one of those things we mostly just kind of go with the flow of, except for maybe auto, maybe life. But, to what you're saying, don't just pick the cheapest. When we got home insurance, we just went with whatever, our real estate agent recommended. I don't even remember how we chose, but we were able to switch over to USAA. And when they did our questionnaire for us, we learned we were way underinsured. Like, thank God nothing happened to our house, because we wouldn't have been covered for almost anything.
Yeah, that's a great example.
And that's when you have that kind of a disaster, is not when you want to find that out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have, I don't do home or auto insurance. I have a great insurance agent. And she, when I first started working with her, she's like, yeah, this is what you need. This is what you need. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Did not realize how much risk you have if you just go with the state minimums on your auto insurance. It's like, could be disastrous. So yeah, it's a great comparison. Great analogy.
I love this because I feel like, especially these days, there's so much information out there. There's so many risks for cybersecurity issues, identity theft, all of that. And I feel like what I love about you and Norm is that you guys are putting people back into health insurance. And to be able to come to somebody and ask the questions that you're talking about, your clients actually coming to you and saying, hey, I had this issue. Am I covered? What peace of mind that is. And the crazy thing to me about it is that it doesn't cost anyone extra. It's part of the program that you sell. It's part of your insurance package. So why you wouldn't go this direction? I can't even I feel like it's a no-brainer, but my thought is maybe most people just don't even know it exists. Like, it's even a possibility.
I think that's what it comes down to, is just they're not aware that there is this resource, that there are, thousands of honest agents throughout the US who do exactly what we do. Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of unscrupulous agents
Right.
I would say that they're the exception rather than the norm, because the ones that are dishonest don't last in the industry. Or they go to a call center and there's one of these big call centers. But yeah, independent agents, brokers that build relationships with their clients, they're all over the place. Find a good one that you trust. And yeah, I'd love to work with anybody
I love that.
wants to reach out.
Well, we actually went way over our normal time, 20, 30 minutes, but I just think it's such a vital conversation. And so those of you who will be watching this on the replay, as well as I'm going to be reposting this towards the end of the month, because open enrollment will be about that time. I want you guys to be able to have two amazing resources, both in Norm and Jamon, to be able to reach out to, because it's scary. Health insurance is scary. All the stuff around it, it can just be so confusing. Paperwork, all the things. I mean, to me, it's like taxes, really, practically. So reach out to Jamon. It's going to be a conversation. It's not going to be scary. He's not pushy. Of course, he's going to want to sell you a insurance package, but also recognizes, as you've heard him say, if it's not the right fit, he has people he collaborates with, which is why I love this so much. Jamon, do you have any final thoughts for wrapping us up?
I do not. I think you've been great. It's been a great conversation. We covered a lot of things. Maybe I should not have talked about clogging so much. We would have been not gone over.
No, I love it. That had to be there. It had to be there. It was necessary.
Okay, good.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today, Jamon. And of course, we'll be sharing this all over the place. And I'm really so glad that we had this conversation today.
Great. Well, thank you.
All right, guys. I'll be back on Monday with a special guest. You don't want to miss it. Until then, live creatively, friends. Bye.